Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right in life, but you're still not where you want to be at? Or you wake up every day, you're grinding, you're putting in work, you're manifesting, remaining positive, but you're still not reaching the goals that you're trying to hit? That's what I would consider to be stuck in life. And for a long time in my life, I was very stuck. Stuck in bad habits, stuck in old ways, stuck in the same place, stuck not making progress towards my goals. The harsh reality of life is most people stay stuck in the same place. We see it time and time again. You know, if you go back to your hometown, or if you still live in your hometown, you can go to the same corner and see the same people sitting there that's been sitting there for 5 years, 10 years, doing the same thing. It's really like a blueprint to it, for real. You know, not a physical blueprint, but there's a blueprint to it that a lot of successful people follow, and they just kind of keep it to themselves for the most part. People are so busy consuming other things that don't really bring them return, that they miss out on this blueprint. So I was once upon a time stuck myself, and I'm just gonna give you guys the tips. One of the most common issues with people staying stuck in life and goals and success in general is the lack of clarity. Like, a lot of people aren't clear on what their vision is, so they can't even be clear on what path they're supposed to be on. If you don't know where you're going, then how do you know what to put in the GPS to get there, if that makes sense? And I feel like a lot of people live their life that way. They have no real long-term goal. A lot of people, if you ask them, what's your goal? Where do you want to be in life? They'll tell you all these things like, I want to be rich, or I want to be famous, or some people, they don't care about those type of things. I want to be the best doctor. I want to be the best coach. A lot of people will tell you these things, but when you ask their 5 or 10 year plan, what's your goal in 5 years? What's your goal in 10 years? They can't really tell you. If you don't even know what the goal is, and how are you even going to know how to get there? That's one thing, right? So just a lack of clarity. And I struggled with this for a long time. I spent my first 4 years of working as an adult. I always worked since I was a youngin', but since an adult, 18, I spent my first 4 years of working in the military. I was active duty Army. That was a good way for me to get some clarity and figure out what I do and don't want in life. Being in an organization like the military, I got to realize I don't want people bossing me around. I don't want people controlling my time. I don't want people in control of how my life is and the quality of my life. So I made sure that once I was done with that commitment, I never lived that type of life again. And a lot of that was just with having clarity, right? Understanding that what I do and don't want, and understanding what I am and am not willing to do to get there. Second half of clarity is just having clarity within yourself. For a long time, I felt like I knew what I was doing. I was locked in. I was doing what I needed to do in life. Never really flipped for me. It never really made the change until I sat down and thought to myself, where do I want to be in 3 years? Where do I want to be in 5 years? And actually have a legit place other than I don't know or I hope to be. Where do I want to be and where will I be? And once I sat down and I made that decision, along with, the help of God, it was very easy for me to lock in and figure out exactly where I need to go. And environment isn't always physical. It's not going to always be where you live at. Sometimes you can live in the best place and you can live in the best city full of opportunities and still not be taking them. Sometimes it's your friend group. Sometimes you have to shed people. As you grow, people have to be growing simultaneously. If your friends are kicking in, they're in the clubs and partying, and if that's what they do, cool. And if you know, okay, I want to be this successful person, and you start looking at these successful people who you aspire to be like, and you see that, oh yeah, they're not really partying, they're not really going out too much, they're really just more so locked in on their goals, you know that you probably got to shed that habit realistically. So you could shed that habit on your own, but if you still have people around you that's all that they do and that's how their life is, and they have no real aspiration to change, it's going to be very easy to get dragged down by their mindset. Even if you try to separate yourself and be like, okay, I'm not going out, but I'm still be cool with them. Even though they have those habits, a lot of those habits are going to transfer over into other things that they do in their life that are unorganized, and unintentionally is going to reflect back on you. Out of their bad habits and stuff like that, you're going to start to take those on. So that's another environmental change. Sometimes it could be a relationship. I see it all the time where women are in relationships with lazy men where the woman's really locked in and she's really hitting her goals, and she has a man with baggage that's weighing her down, or vice versa. A man's really locked in, he's on his goals, and his girl just really ain't doing nothing in life. And sometimes you have to shed those people around you. If they can't grow with you, then they have to go, if that makes sense. And it's unfortunate, it sucks. I lost a lot of people, a lot of friends, I lost a lot of even family I had to cut off just because of mindsets, and it doesn't make me love them any less. When I say cut off, I don't always mean that you have to never talk to them again, but when it comes to your daily and regular life, you have to bring things with you that align with where you want to go. So that includes people, that includes relationships, all of those type of things. Another issue I would say is time management. I used to have really bad time management myself, And what I notice about a lot of people is they have this thing where they're very busy. And I think people confuse being busy with being productive. They're not always the same thing. You can have a lot going on in your day. You could be checking a lot of boxes and doing a lot of different types of things. But if they're not aligning with where you want to go in life, then you're not really being productive, if that makes sense. You're just busy. For example, I could live my life in two different types of ways. The first way is the busy way, which is the way a majority of people live life. I'll sleep until the absolute last minute, which means, I get up in enough time to get where I need to go. So I'm letting sleep take up all my time that I have to myself in my morning. Cool. Then I start doing the things I need to do. I get ready for work. I walk the dog. I get the kids ready. I take them to school. I go to work. I work all day. I get off of work. I gotta cook dinner. I might go to the gym. I might clean the house. I might wash my car. That's a very, very busy day. And some people, if I tell them that that's how I spend my day, they would say that that's a productive day, right? But what if I'm doing all of that and my goal is to be a clothing brand business owner? What part of that day was productive towards me being a clothing brand business owner? Like, a lot of people don't understand that a lot of things and responsibilities that you have in life, just because you're doing them and they're taking up time in your day and you're doing what you need to do for that doesn't always mean that your day is full of productivity. So I think you have to always have good time management, right? Because some of these things are responsibilities. Some of these things you can't stop doing. You can't stop taking the kids to school. You can't stop going to the gym. You can't stop going to work until you're ready to quit your job. So what do you have to do? Have better time management. Maybe don't sleep in as late. Maybe wake up a little bit earlier and give some time to yourself. Because if your goal is, let's just say, to be a clothing brand owner, you could be waking up early and working on designs, talking with manufacturers, marketing, doing stuff like that, and now you're working towards your goals, and then you're busy the rest of the day, if that makes sense. A lot of people just busy up their day, and what they don't understand is, if they would look at their day and prioritize and really evaluate what's important and what needs to get done and what doesn't really need to get done. Maybe you don't got to scroll on social media for 2 hours a day. People don't realize when they're on them phones, you're not always on them phones for 2 hours straight at a time. Sometimes you on it for 20 minutes. All right, I'm off. 30 minutes. All right, I'm off. Another 10 minutes. All right, I'm off. Now you're already been on there for a whole hour. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't understand that they do that, and they're wasting a lot of their day. We only have 24 hours in the day. So if we have a goal, I would say the vast majority of the day should be working towards that goal. Another thing that factors into poor time management is just a lack of education. It's an education gap. A lot of people don't realize a lot of things that they can do in their life can be easily fixed with investments and systems, and that's what people don't realize. Like, for example, I used to spend 2-3 hours a week, every week, cleaning my house. It was a whole task. I would clean my whole house. It would take me 2-3 hours on a Saturday morning. And when I'm done with that, my energy is so smoked from cleaning the whole 4-bedroom to the point where it's like, damn, I need to just sit down. You get what I'm saying? And now I'm losing a lot more than the 3 hours. It's really going on 4 or 5 hours by the time I eat, shower. Then if I'm going to the grocery store, that's another 2 hours. And if I'm cooking, that's another 2 hours. People don't realize that they could easily put investments into place or systems into place to make it easier. And you don't always have to spend more money. It's just about knowing what resources are available. For example, right? I pay a cleaning lady now, and obviously that's an example of spending more money, but that's an investment to me because yesterday my cleaning lady cleaned my house. I looked at the time. She was cleaning my house for 2 hours, right? The whole 2 hours that she was cleaning my house, I was locked in on my business. I took care of 4 clients. I redesigned 3 websites. You get what I'm saying? So if I would have been cleaning with that time, now I would have had to do those things later in the day, and they probably just wouldn't have got done because I busy myself up with things like cleaning. And not everybody has the luxury to do that, pay a cleaner, so I understand. But anything in your life that you can do something like that, you can delegate a task. Even going to the grocery store, right? I hate going to the grocery store. It's a waste of time. Too much people in there. I feel like I walk around the grocery store for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes until I fully get what I need, when you can just do curbside pickup or Instacart, and curbside pickup, for example, doesn't even cost additional money. So why would you not do that? Why would you not make your life easier? Why would you not, instead of typing the grocery list in your phone and then going to the grocery store and doing all that, why would you not add it to the cart and do curbside pickup and save yourself that time and use that time, reinvest that time into building your better self? And a deeper part of having a lack of knowledge even goes into knowing what's achievable and what's available, right? Like, just use what's at your fingertips. Too many people are using time to scroll on social media, looking at things that really don't serve them, looking at other people's lives, stuff like that, getting dopamine off of other people's lives, when realistically they need to be researching how to make their own life better. I think a lot of people don't realize that, I can sit here all day and preach mentorship and course like all these other people do and tell you to go buy a course or go buy a mentorship. But, that's one route you could take. But realistically, everything's for free at your fingertips. Go on YouTube, go on TikTok, change up the people you follow. Stop following so many comedy creators and stuff like that. Unfollow some of those people and follow some people who are where you want to be at in life. If your goal is to be a barber and, why are you following all these other content creators and stuff who aren't really providing value into how to become a barber? Follow more barbers. Look at how they post. Follow barbers that give out game. You get what I'm saying? You can get free mentorship through what you consume. You don't have to pay people, So I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, and they just spend so much time being busy, and then distracting themselves with social media as opposed to leveraging it as a tool to get the information that they need to get. I never thought one day that I would own the type of business that I own. People always say, do what you desire and turn it into a business. Whatever your favorite thing is, turn it into a business. And, I agree with that to an extent. But I feel like also you might not know what your favorite thing is because you didn't do enough research. Never once in my life did I think I would be fixing people's credit or automating their business or getting them business funding and actually making money off of that and not working a job. I never thought I would do that because it's not something that I was passionate about. I didn't love credit. I didn't love automation. I didn't love business funding. But I researched it. I saw that it was available. I saw that it was profitable. And I learned to like it. I learned to love it. So I feel like a lot of people just have that lack of information. They don't realize what's achievable. A lot of people don't realize these things are available because they're consuming so many things that don't benefit them. They're in environments that don't benefit them, or they just don't have any clarity or lack of knowledge of where to go. So it kind of goes hand in hand with everything I've been saying. Another issue that I used to have all the time is small thinking small. And a lot of this goes into everything that I was saying, first having clarity, being locked in with God, opening your mind, praying for that blessing to be able to open your mind and see new things and look at them as opportunities. That also contributes to thinking small. If you're lacking on doing that, that's probably the reason why you're thinking small. That's probably the reason why you're saying, oh yeah, I would want to do this. This would be cool, but probably not. I'll just, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people do that. They have these goals like, oh yeah, I want to be the best braider in the world, but money not really guaranteed, so let me just work this job. It's very small thinking, and you got to understand that once you expand your thinking in your mind and you start to realize things are more achievable and you start to actually believe in what you're manifesting instead of just manifesting it, that's when your actions will reflect. If you are telling yourself in your head this might not work out, or you're unsure about it, or you're treating it like a plan B, or you have a plan B still in the background, it's going to be very hard for you to act on that plan A like it's the only thing that is available to you. And obviously it's good to have different plans, but when you're locked in on a goal and you really want something to work as an entrepreneur or as a goal-getter in general, sometimes you have to be delusional. You have to really force yourself to think that this is going to work, and you have to tell yourself that it's going to work when it's not working. Before I started my business, before I scaled to 2,000 or 3,000 clients, I had 10 clients, 15 clients, 20 clients. I was getting 1 client a month, 2 clients a month sometimes. And I had to tell myself every day and motivate myself every day, one day this is going to work. One day you're going to get 500 clients. One day you're going to get 1,000 clients. Just keep doing it. Just keep pushing it. And when I kept telling myself that and I didn't have no false hope and it was really true and I really truly believed that, I worked every single day like that was true. I was working like I had 2,000 clients when I had 10 clients. Again, it goes back to environment, right? Because if you're around a whole bunch of people that are small thinkers, for a while I had a friend group, who I still love to death, but I had to separate myself from them because they were small thinkers. When I would bring up starting a business or working for myself, they would always down talk it and be like, nah, or you really think that's gonna work? Or what about the economy? I can't. If you're around other small thinkers, by default you'll be a small thinker. I feel like a lot of people have this misconception in their head that, oh, I'm just a leader. You can be a leader all you want. I've been a leader my whole life. I was a leader when I was in the military. I was a leader at my last job. I own a company and have a staff. I'm a leader by default. But that doesn't matter, because if the people who I'm around the majority of the time and I'm sharing my goals and aspirations with and I'm spending the majority of my time with, if they're small thinkers, I'm going to subconsciously become a small thinker. I'm not even going to realize it. So it's very important to change your environment. If you're around small thinkers, whether it's your girl, whether it's your guy, whether it's your whatever the case may be, whoever you're around, if they don't think big, they have to go. They have to either start thinking big or they have to go. And that's the harsh reality of it. If any of these are you, just know you're not alone. You're not lazy. You're not unproductive. You're not broken. You're just stuck. And also know that if nothing changes, nothing changes. So don't say tomorrow. Don't say next week. Don't say later. Make everything now. Maximize the time that you have, because before you know it, you're going to blink your eyes and 5 years are going to pass and another 10 years are going to pass. And eventually, if you keep yourself stuck for so long, it's temporary early on, but long term, it becomes a lifelong thing.